Hi everybody, my name is Sarah. I'm from KOM Consultants and I'm here with Dr. Paul Babby from the University of Adelaide Law School. So Paul is going to talk to you about firstly, University of Adelaide, life in Australia, the law school, the programs that it has, and
Hi everybody, my name is Sarah. I'm from KOM Consultants and I'm here with Dr. Paul Babby from the University.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Just mute the sound, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Apologies for that delay. It's my first webinar. Well, welcome again. I will hand you over to Paul. Please bear in mind, if you have any questions, you can ask the questions in the chat box that you see below. But please bear in mind that there is a slight delay, so when you hit send, it's a delay when we receive it, so just bear with us. But I will hand you over to Paul and he will take over from here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Sarah. Yes, so I'm Paul Babby from the Adelaide Law School. There's just a bit of a delay, so I'm waiting to make sure that you can actually see me. So just bear with me one moment. Yes, okay. So, Paul Babby from the University of Adelaide Law School. I'm one of the professors on faculty at the law school, and I'm currently here with the dean of the law school as well, Professor John Williams, and we're traveling around Ontario to just meet with students and to let them know a little bit more about the program that we offer at the Adelaide Law School in Australia. So first, just to tell you a little bit about the law school itself, we are the second oldest law school in Australia. We were established in 1883, so we're 131 years old this year. We're part of the third oldest university in Australia, which is 140 years old this year. We have been ranked in the top 50 law schools in the world. So that's on what's known as the QS World Rankings of Law Schools. And in the 2014 rankings, we were ranked number 46. If you have a look at those rankings, you'll be able to see the comparative Canadian law schools that are ranked in the top 50 ranking band, and that puts us in the same company as University of Toronto, McGill University, and the UBC law schools. So we are one of the older common law schools in the world and one of the premier common law schools in the world as well. We have set aside 25 seats for Canadian students specifically within our law program. The law program itself is, as with most Australian law schools, we have about 1,500 law students studying with us at any one time, but obviously, as you would understand, those are mostly Australians, so we've put aside 25 of our seats for Canadians to study with us. And so we've established some special admissions criteria for those 25 seats for Canadians. And the first thing that you'll be happy to know and to hear is that the LSAT is not a requirement for admission to law school in Australia, and that is also the case for the University of Adelaide. So you do not need to worry about writing the LSAT, although we understand that many Canadians will have written the LSAT at the time that they apply to us, but we do not require that result for your admission to our program. What we do look at is your GPA, and depending on which undergraduate university you've attended, that will be somewhere between, if it's on a 4.0 scale, we're looking at a 3.3 GPA for admission into our program, or at least that will put you into a competitive range in terms of admission to the program. If you're at a university that has a 4.3 GPA scale, and it's more like about 3.7, so on a 4 scale, about 3.3 to 3.5, and then the equivalent increase for a 4.3 scale. Or for those universities that go by percentage, then we're looking at about a 75 to 80% average for admission to our program. Now, a lot of the people that we're speaking to on this trip are asking, well, is that the only thing that you look at, or do you take into account anything else? And we do take into account your own story, and we have the opportunity, there is the opportunity for you to write a personal statement for us. And in that personal statement, you can, well, as I've put it to the people that we meet, you can tell us your story about what it is that you've done in your undergraduate studies, and you can explain any issues that you'd like to explain in relation to your undergraduate studies in that personal statement, and that will certainly be taken into account. So some people that we talk to, ask if it's a cumulative GPA or we look at the last 2 years. And the answer to that question is that the Adelaide Law School will try to take the whole picture into account. So yes, we start with cumulative GPA, but we will look at other factors as well, and that's where you have the opportunity to tell us about that in your personal statement. So those are the admission criteria. In terms of the application process itself, we don't have any application deadlines. We have a rolling application process, so you can apply at any time during the year. Because the seasons are reversed in Australia, our academic year starts in February each year. So just to take a representative example, if you were thinking about starting with us in the academic year that starts in 2016, you'd be starting in February. You could apply at any time throughout 2015, but what we recommend is that you don't leave it any later than really the start of December in the year just prior to when you'd be starting, because really the simple reason is in terms of obtaining a student visa, leaving it beyond December is starting to get a little bit difficult in order to obtain that visa. The optimal situation would be to apply about a year in advance of when you intend to start studying with us, so sometime in January or February of 2015 if you were planning on starting in 2016. So even if you are going to be graduating in April of 2015, you could still contact us to initiate an application starting in January or February of 2015, so a few months before it is that you would be graduating. Because it is a rolling application process, we will consider your application as soon as we receive it. So that means that as soon as we have a formal application from you, we will have an answer or response to you in terms of the result of your application within about 3 weeks to a month of having received that formal application. So we try to move very quickly. Again, we recognize that many Canadians will obviously be wanting to apply to Canadian law schools, so the offer will be open for a sufficient period of time to allow you to determine what has happened with your Canadian applications. We will not require you to give a response prior to you hearing from the final Canadian law school that you might have applied to. So our application process is very much an open-ended one in the sense that we give you the opportunity to determine what has happened here in Canada before you have to make a final decision with Adelaide. Then, of course, the question that everybody is concerned about, and that is, how can I come back to Canada to practice law after I've finished my studies at the University of Adelaide, or indeed any overseas law school. And of course, we wouldn't be on this current journey across Canada to meet with students that are looking for acceptance to law school, and we wouldn't be running this webinar right now if it was not possible for you to come back to Canada to practice law. As many of you will be aware, there is a body known as the National Committee on Accreditation that deals with any Canadian that has studied law outside of Canada and intends to return to Canada to practice law in Canada. And the NCA does not accredit institutions, it accredits individuals. So that means that the University of Adelaide law degree is not an accredited degree, but each individual that obtains an Adelaide law degree will make application to the NCA to have their degree accredited for them. And what generally happens with anyone that has an Australian law degree, including from the University of Adelaide, is that the NCA will give credit for almost the entirety of the degree, save for 5 subjects, which a student will then have to complete. There are 2 different ways in which that can happen, and once those requirements are satisfied, then the degree that you obtain from Adelaide will be treated as equivalent to any other or the equivalent of any Canadian law degree. So as I said, there are 2 ways in which those requirements can be satisfied. One is to write what are known as NCA exams. Those obviously are administered by the NCA. At the University of Adelaide, we have established a prep course which students that are studying with us can take. That prepares students to write those 5 NCA exams. That course will also count for credit towards your law degree. We are also an accredited NCA exam writing venue, so you can write the exams with us. So that is one avenue for completing the requirements of the NCA. The other option, which is just now coming online following an NCA decision about 6 weeks ago, is that students will be able to take and have accredited those 5 courses at a Canadian law school. Canadian law schools are currently looking at how it is that they may offer those 5 subjects to Canadian students, but that is an option that the NCA has recognized and that we are looking at as an option for our students. So there is a virtually seamless transition between the Adelaide Law School degree that you would obtain and practicing law in Canada. We, just in terms of the finances involved in studying for the Adelaide Law degree, the current tuition for international students studying with us is around $29,000 per year, Australian dollars. As the dollar is virtually on par, that's about the same in Canadian dollars. We do offer $10,000 startup scholarships to those Canadians that apply to our program. Most Canadians that apply to the program will obtain one of those scholarships as well. And of course, there's also OSAP if you're in Ontario, or similar provincial student support. You should really contact those offices in your province to determine what sort of support they will provide to you if you're studying overseas for a law degree. But certainly in Ontario, OSAP applies to studying those who study law overseas. Also, the Canada Student Loan Program is available to those who are studying overseas, and there are some banks now in Canada as well that will offer a line of credit to those who are studying overseas, and certainly that applies to the case of law as well. I think that probably covers most of the program, and I might just see if I can scroll down. Right. Yes, so I might just say a little bit about the city as well. That's obviously something that students will be interested to know about. Adelaide is a city of 1.2 million people, so it's about the same size as Calgary and Edmonton in terms of Canadian cities. Adelaide was also rated equal 5th with Calgary as one of the most livable cities in the world by The Economist magazine in 2014. It is also recognized as having the lowest cost of living of any of the Australian capital cities. It is comparable to the cost of living that you would find in Edmonton. And it has also been placed number 9 on the list of cities that one most ought to visit in the world by the Lonely Planet Guide in 2014. Obviously, as a city of 1.2 million people, it offers all of the amenities that one would expect in a large city, but it also has a lot of the intimacy that one would find in a smaller city. So it is really a wonderful place to live, and it offers all of the things that one would expect to find when studying in Australia. So you have the Adelaide campus itself, where the law school is located, is right in the heart of the city of Adelaide, so downtown. And you are also within very close range of what are known as the Adelaide Hills, so you can see a lot of the natural environment that one expects when you think of Australia. We're very close to the wine regions of South Australia, which are world famous, and also we're very close, obviously, to the beaches as well. So all of the sorts of things that people would expect to find in Australia, you will find in Adelaide. So we, as I say, a city of 1.2 million people, so a city just as similar to Calgary or Edmonton, but with all of the amenities that one would expect in Australia. And just looking for any possible questions. So we've got a couple of questions which I think I've answered already, and I'm just looking. Oops. Oh, here we go. Sorry. I see that there were some questions about, so there's a question about the weather in Australia as well. The weather, well, first of all, I said a moment ago that the seasons are reversed. So our summer is during the Canadian winter. Our summer would have a temperature, probably an average temperature in the low 30s in Adelaide during the summer. In the winter, we'd have an average temperature of around 15 degrees Celsius. So that would be sort of between the June and August, September period of the year is the winter in Australia and in Adelaide. And the summer is basically between November and February, early March. So seasons reversed, and the weather, generally speaking, is the lowest. The temperature that you'd find in Adelaide would be around 15 Celsius. Question about small group discussions and tutorials are problem-based. That is okay. We do have, so just to talk a little bit about the teaching methods, I suppose. We have a range of different teaching methods. So you find that there are large, obviously in the early parts of your degree, you'd have a large lecture style format that you'd expect in most Canadian law schools. And as people move along through their degree, then you start to have smaller groups and then probably a mix. So you'd probably move from classes of around 200 or so in your early part of your degree to classes of 50 or 60. It would sort of be the mid-range classes, and those would be run in both sort of seminar and lecture styles. And then you have very small groups as well, which are run as discussion groups or problem-based tutorials, seminar formats, discussion formats. So all of the range of teaching methods would be used as part of the portfolio of teaching in the Adelaide Law School. That question I think I've answered. What is the workload in the program? And will I have time to enjoy myself outside of school? I think that it would be fair to say that law, being a language-rich discipline, requires, and really, what many people would say is that studying law is effectively learning another language, and so that can take a lot of time. So I think that you can expect, fairly significant. But if you think about if you think or talk to people that are studying law in Canada, you'll find that there's quite a lot of time that is spent reading. There's quite a lot of reading to be done. Then you have to spend some time sort of reflecting and thinking about what it is that you've read, and then of course there's the lecture or classroom time itself. So the workload in the program is substantial, but that doesn't mean that there isn't time to enjoy yourself as well outside of class time, and certainly during the non-teaching times of the academic year, which would run from June and July, and then of course if you're around for part of the summer as well, then you have a significant amount of time to do things that stretch beyond the university campus. The other thing that some Canadians that are studying with us have found is that because the cost of living is a bit lower, and because it is possible to obtain part-time work for a certain number of hours every 2 weeks on a student visa, that there is also additional money that you will have that will allow you to do some traveling around Australia and to see more of Australia than you might have had if you'd gone to another city where the cost of living is higher. Okay. So there's a question here about whether or not students can complete an articling position in Australia, and will it count back in Canada? The answer to that question is no. It would not be possible to complete your articling outside of Canada. That's part of the, once you finish the NCA requirements, then you're basically into the job market as any other Canadian law graduate is, and then you need to really look at what it is that your provincial law society requires. So for instance, in Ontario, then there's an articling program. There's a choice really that students have now in Ontario between articling and there's also what's called the legal professional program, which is a course that will allow you to obtain a practicing certificate as well. But the short answer to the question is, once you complete the degree at Adelaide and complete the NCA requirements, then you must complete any requirements related to admission to practice in Canada according to what your provincial law society requires. So it's not possible to count something that you've done in Australia in terms of articling towards what you'd need to complete here in Canada. Then the next question is, how long is the NCA process, or how long does it take? And the answer to that question, again, it depends on really on the diligence of the student. So it's really sort of individually based. In discussing this with the NCA itself, my understanding is that if a student is quite diligent and they have the 5 courses to take, that can be done in between 6 to 8 months. So it really doesn't add very much time at all. As time goes by and as it becomes possible to do those subjects at Canadian law schools, it may be even the case that that process can be completed during the course of your law degree itself, so that it may not add any time to what you've already done at the Adelaide Law School. That does not yet exist, but it is very possible that will exist in the near future. There's some questions that go. I think there are people talking to each other actually. And how does the double degree work? Not sure if that necessarily relates to what we've been talking about today. We don't have specifically a double degree program. It may be that the question is about somebody entering law school without an undergraduate degree at Adelaide, which is possible, of course. Many of our students that are Australian enter the law school straight from high school, and so they take what's called a dual degree, and they would take, say, a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science or something like that, and our law degree at the same time. That is a program that really only applies to those people who are coming to us directly from high school in Australia. So most Canadians will be coming to us as graduates, so they would simply do our LLB. There's a question about application deadlines, whether they're similar to Canadian law schools. I've already dealt with that question earlier in the webinar. There was a question there about changes coming for articling, and have I heard of those changes? That was what I was discussing just a few moments ago. That's really what's happened in Ontario, and it's only happened in about the last 6 to 8 months, where there now is this choice between doing what's called the LPP, the Legal Professional Program, and articling. So that choice now does exist in Ontario, but not yet in any other provinces. And then there was a question about the startup scholarships. So somebody met me, I should say, recently in Guelph, and they're asking about the startup scholarships. So those are available to anybody that applies as a Canadian for our Canadian program. Typically, those Canadians that we're admitting at this stage, we are able to provide one of those scholarships to them as time goes by, and as the process becomes more competitive. That may change, but at this stage, it's very likely that if you're accepted into our program, you will obtain or receive one of those $10,000 startup scholarships. And I think that is, no one else. Are there other bursaries to help me financially? And that goes back to the point that I made earlier about the fact that there's OSAP support, there's Canada Student Loan support, and some banks will provide lines of credit as well. And I think yeah. So if anybody has any questions, you can find my contact details on the KOM Consultant website, or if you want to look up the Adelaide Law School website, you can find my details there as well. I'm, in fact, the Director of Canadian Admissions for the Adelaide Law School, so if you have any questions at all about the program, or you'd like to initiate an application, then please, by all means, get in touch with me and I can assist you with that. I'll just wait for a moment more to see if there's any other questions that might come through. Yeah. But if not, then please email me directly. And I think that probably, just make sure that there's nothing else. Sorry. I don't think there's any other questions. Okay, so thank you very much, and good night. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was brilliant. Okay, so what I should have said at the start as well is if you are indeed interested in studying in the University of Adelaide and in the law program that Paul was just talking about, you can make an application with KOM Consultants. So just log on to KOM